So I have some exciting news. We finally have a product sample of the SD expansion card. I've been testing it for the past few months and can report that it works flawlessly. But what did it take to take the SD expansion card from a list of product requirements into an actual physical product? Well, it starts at EVT. Engineering validation testing, or EVT, is the first phase that brings together a full design and engineering intent version of the product. We manufacture a set of samples for testing and validation before locking in the architecture and kicking off production tooling. The goal of the EVT build is to create an SD expansion card that utilizes Alfie's custom card receptacle design, utilizes Anthony's optimized electrical design, supports the full set of product features like UHS-2, and is functional so that we can test that it works with both the Framework Laptop 13 and the Framework Laptop 16. This EVT sample doesn't have the final firmware and is built using prototype processes. So we're not trying to optimize for power consumption yet or check for fit and finish. Once the Framework SD expansion card team and BizLink create the first batch of prototypes, both teams distribute out the products for dog fooding. Dog fooding, aka beta testing a hardware product, is an integral part of the hardware product development process. Dog fooders are responsible for testing sample hardware products and reporting any software or hardware user experience challenges. We also use this as an opportunity to check the usability of the products and make any tweaks to make sure that the hardware experience is as nice as possible. So, what were some of those UX challenges with the SD expansion card EVT sample? Challenge 1. There was an uneven gap around the USB-C plug. We addressed this by refining the plastic part tooling. Challenge 2. The front cover was weaker above the SD card slot. This is a hardware reliability issue that can be addressed by changing not only the mechanical structure of the front cover, but also the receptacle tooling design. We want to make sure that our products are long-lasting and high quality. Challenge 3. We use a soft-tooled plastic and metal housing for the EVT samples to test out the design before locking it in for production tooling. In addition to preparing manufacturing methods for mass production, there are also some user experience issues that we want to keep an eye on during the testing phase to make sure that our products are safe and power efficient. Firstly, we want to make sure that the SD expansion card doesn't overheat. We want to make sure that the SD expansion card is not only safe to handle, but also that the temperature stays within spec for both the chip and the SD card. The team verified that the SD expansion card is within temperature spec, but they'll continue to keep an eye on the temperature throughout the rest of the builds. Secondly, we want to make sure that the SD expansion card is power efficient. The SD expansion card essentially drops to 0 power consumption when there is no SD card inserted. Additionally, the SD expansion card meets standby and hibernation power consumption requirements when there is an SD card inserted. However, our team wants to go the extra mile and make sure that we can maximize power efficiency and reduce power consumption to about 5 milliwatts when the card is idle. So after making all of the EVT tweaks and changes, the Framework team and BizLink went directly into DVT. DVT, or Design Validation Testing, is the second phase of the hardware manufacturing process. In this step, we want to make sure that we resolve the design issues found in EVT, the production tooling is tested and tuned in, the firmware is ready, the expansion card can pass all of the necessary certifications, and that everything is absolutely perfect before moving on to mass manufacturing. In short, this is our last chance to make any design changes before locking in the final production. So I actually received a DVT sample from our hardware team and had a chance to dog food the SD expansion card. And the SD expansion card just works. It's a truly flawless experience. I've been testing it on both my Framework Laptop 13 and my Framework Laptop 16. As someone with a physics background, it's actually really cool to be able to see my coworkers take those principles and create something that is not only aesthetically pleasing, but also super highly functional and practical. But I guess that's just the difference between physicists and engineers. And from a file transfer standpoint, this product is pretty fast. As the video creator here at Framework, I tend to batch transfer about 60 to 120 gigabytes worth of files at a time. This expansion card does it very quickly, so I have no complaints. I'm also that kind of chaotic evil that leaves her SD card plugged into her laptop when traveling from place to place, and I'm really glad to report that there haven't been any damages to either the SD expansion card or the SD card itself. Another cool thing I learned Did you know that you can run sleep studies on your laptop? Sleep Study measures modern standby performance with minimal impact. Part of my dog fooding job was sending over my laptop sleep reports to see how the SD expansion card affected power consumption when the SD card is inserted, not inserted, and when there's no SD card in at all. My only complaint? That there is no transparent version of the SD expansion card. Anthony and Alfie worked so hard to create a custom card receptacle and squeeze the PCB into such a tiny little area, and it makes me wish that I could look at all of their hard work without having to open up the expansion card. So now that my DVT dog food reports are in, and the team is combing through them, there's nothing left to do but wait for the PVT samples, or product validation testing samples. For this program, PVT is a supplier internal build that BizLink is running on their own to fully qualify their manufacturing line and train their operators before going into production. On more complex products, we would partner more closely with our manufacturers to drive the PVT build. The next step for us internally at Framework is to list the SD expansion card on the Framework marketplace and work with our shipping partners to get the SD expansion card from our warehouses into your laptops.